we're holding Daf Pedal Amud Aleph, Ki. Yeah, was it 8 lines in the bottom, the end of the line, Ki. The Rebbe started off talking about Tzimtzum Shalei Kipshutei, and he explained that Tzimtzum Shalei Kipshutei means that Hashem is everywhere. And at the same time, He has an impact on the whole creation. And creation has no impact on Him, because Hu Hayadei and Hu Hayadu and Hu Hamada. This is true of Save of Kalalmin, like a person's imagination that encompasses things. The Eibish's imagination encompasses everything. But in the Nimshal, the world is one with Him. And it's true even of Mamala Kalam. That even though Mamala Kalam has numerous tzimtzums, the tzimtzum is, from our perspective, if you will, and the Gabi Alakus, there's Iyo Tafez Akul Alam and less man Tafez. So the Rebbe now continues. We're in the middle of our discussion of Mamala Kalam, where the Rebbe said that Mamala Kalam means that Hashem has to reduce the light and life and energy. That each creation should be able to get it. And he says the Lashon, Bekamas or Be'echas, in its physical size, and echas means its purpose and its usefulness. And he gave us a masha from the way the Eibish's energy reaches the physical sun. And he continues. What is the need for this symptom? What is the need for this mamala kalamanization of the light that the world should be able to receive it? So he explains. The root of all living things, is the wind, is the air of the mouth of the Eibush, which is Malchus of Atzilus, which is also one of the Esesphiras of Atzilus, regarding which we said before, and we're going to say in a moment again, Hashem is moment is lights, and that's why there's Hamislabish, which is revealed, and 10 utterances in the Teda. 10 utterances in the Chumash come from Malchus of Atzilus, which is also known as Malchus, or Adnai, as we had in the beginning of this Perek. And the air of Hashem's mouth, since it's one of the Sfiras, even though it's going into the Asara Mamaris, therefore, it could expand beyond an end and beyond the purpose. For Livrei is to create worlds in case beyond an end and beyond the purpose, to their quantity and to their quality. Now you could translate this in 2 ways. They can create infinite worlds, or they could create worlds with infinite mass, infinite size, and infinite quality. To give them life beyond time, forever and ever. And of course, why? Because Eibush is a Kayach. But if the Eibush would create worlds that are in Kates v'tachas kamusam mechusam and adayad v'lo yoyoniv elmazeh klal, there wouldn't be a physical world, because the physical world is limited. It's limited in its size, it's limited in its purpose, and it's limited in its time. Right? It's limited in its kamos, it's limited in its echos, it's limited in its man. Why? How could the Eibush create worlds that should be infinite? Hashem himself is Ein Sof. And Ein Sof means he can do anything he wants, he's absolutely infinite. Kach kol midas of the midas of the Eibush, also known as the Sfidas of the Eibush. And here he adds the word Pulis, which we'll have to ask a rabbi what the word Pulis is coming to add. The Iyu v'gamei Hashem and his Sfidas are one, and as I explained to you repeatedly, the Sfidas are called lights of Hashem. It's all they are. They have no self-identity. They're simply lights of the Eibush. Hainu, this means Achayis, the life. Hanimshech, as Mimides, it comes from the Sfidas of Atzilus. Shein Chesed of Atzilus. Verachmim of Atzilus. Ushar Mides of Agdei, just turn the page, the other holy Midas of Atzilus. And since the Sfidas are Ein Sof, and they're Dovak and the Moir, and even though they manifest, they reveal themselves. Shemes Lapshis Beruch Piv, they come down into Malchus of Atzilus, which is called Hashem's mouth, or Adnai. And it itself is one of the Sfidas. Kihu Ama Vayeh, Hashem speaks and things come into being. Ve'elamai de Chesed Yibona, the worlds are created through Chesed of Atzilus. The Sfidas are Gdula, which creates Yesh Meyayin. Bedara Abaye Veruach Piv, to the mouth of Hashem, and the air, the words of Hashem and the air of His mouth. Hanasa Kliu Levush, which becomes a vessel in a garment. Lechesed zeh, for this Chesed. So Hashem creates the world with Chesed. And the garment for Chesed is Malchus, is Adnai, the mouth of Hashem, or Lakim and Adnai, which are the symptom of the Eibush. So the world should exist separate from Hashem. And it's created, Kadein Kamsa, like a turtle, the Levushim and Erbei. Kamsa means a snail or a turtle, whose garment is one with himself. This Lashon, Kadein Kamsa, you had already before in Tanya Perek Chafalef. I think you had it also in Ger, like Icharicha, but I'm not sure. The point is, the Eibishter could create worlds that are infinite and separate from the Eibishter, because the Midas of Hashem are infinite, the Spheres of Hashem are infinite, because they're one with Hashem, and therefore the Eibishter could make infinite worlds. But if Hashem made infinite worlds, there wouldn't be an Ilm Hazeh. And the Eibishter wants an Ilm Hazeh. And the Rebbe explained at the beginning of this Pedic, why does he want Elam Hazeh? Because of Ano Emlech. He wants to be a king, and in Melech B'layam you have to have Nefradim, and therefore the Rebbe makes Tzimtzum. And that's the point of Mamalek Alam. Ella, never dead. Shatim Tzemakadosh Baruch Hu Erev HaChayz. Hashem limits the Eid, which is Seviv Kalam, and the Chayz, and the life, which is Mamalek Alam. Sheyuchel Hisla Pasha, should be able to expand Mi ruach peh, from the air of his mouth. V'hil bishay, and he reveals it. Teich, tziruf, v'yesis, in the formation of the letters Shela, Sodom, Amor, as the 10 utterances of creation. In Chumash, you have 31 psukim that describe Ma'aseh Bereishis. Those psukim and those words are the energies and the vitalities of the worlds, as the Alter Rebbe is going to explain later on, more bepratius. But those words are the tzimtzumim that create the various different forms. But those original words create enormously massive ruchniistic creations. The physical creations we see in this earth are not created from Vayemer Elikim Tatya Aretz Deshe. Deshe is ruchnius. Oifef means malachim. So ruchnius. The gashmius, the kedevroyim, that come from these physical creations, from these oisies, goes through a ribu. Look at the lashon inside. V'tzirufei, tzirufeiim, and the formations of the formations, b'chilufei, utmuras eisius, with the replacement and interchanging of the letters atzmon. This is called the tzimtzumim that the Eibishter creates, right? V'cheshboinon u'mispora, and the numerical measure. Now, why you have two words, cheshboin and mispor, I don't know. Cheshboin means calculation, mispor means number, which is gematria basically. Shekol chiluf utmura. Every time a letter is replaced by a different letter, it indicates the descent of light and life, from a higher level to a lower level. In other words, it says in Torah Bereshis. Yeah, what does Bereshis create? It creates that base can be changed with many letters. For example, base is spelled Beis Yud Sof, so the base becomes a Yud. Yud could be spelled Yud Vav Dalad. The Yud becomes a Vav or a Dalad. The physical creations were created by those original races being reduced and changed until it can create such diminished values of energy and light and life that they create physical creations. The Hainu, in other words, the more these letters are repeatedly replaced over and over again, Sheyuchel Livri Lahachet, she's about to create and give life to. Livri goes on Guf and Haches goes on Neshama, Beruim creations. Shemadregas Echusim Amalosam, that the step and level of their quality and worth Hipchusa is much less mimadreges eches umailas, from the step of the quality and level of abruim hanevroim me asies v'teves atzmon shabasarim amoris, from the creations that were created with the original 10 utterances of creation, and it's layers upon layers upon layers. Physical grass is called desha and asif. How many times do the original words desha and asif and asarim amoris get changed and replaced and gematriatized until it becomes physical desha and asif? Is unimaginable. The chayis of the original Dashan Esav is infinite. The physical Dashan Esav is tzimtzum al gabi tzimtzum. That's the way it works. But it begins with the Asarim Amoris. And even the Asarim Amoris are a phenomenal or a significant tzimtzum in the original Eid, in the Eid Ein Sof, that the world should be limited. Because the Sfiras, including Malchus, are Ein Sof, and the Dovak and the Eibishter, and there's numerous tzimtzumim to create the Oisis of Asarim Amoris, and then there's numerous tzimtzumim in those Oisius being exchanged and replaced and dealt with in various different mechanisms of Tzimtzumim to create lower and lower worlds. In other words, smaller and smaller mamales, which is the issue at hand. Shebehen mislabish, that in the original 10 Eis Armaris is revealed that Kadosh Baruch Hu b'chvei v'yatzmed Eibishter himself. But the Eibishter himself doesn't mean the Eibishter himself. It means Shei Midei, so it means the Sfiris of Gedula and Gevura, Havaya and Elikim and Ad. Says the Rebbe v'achesh bein meid al miyater v'achayis miyat achamiyat. The lowest Tzimtzum is the lim Tzimtzum called Cheshben, Gematria. The letters are exchanged and replaced over and over again. The Alter Rebbe said in Perek Aleph at the end, the letters are constantly changed over and over again until you have the lowest levels of letters which create physical creations. The lowest tzimtzum, you don't even have letters, you have only a gematria, a numerical equivalency. Actually, nisha mimena, that nothing is left from the original Asius, ela bechinas achrena, the lowest point, shu bechinas acheshben, umisped, it's only the calculation and number. How many different types of energies and steps are included in this light and this life? Hamalubish, which are manifest with seed of Zen, this formation, shall tevezu through in this word. So they say that Ishtalshalus is the Eibush reducing the light more and more by replacing the letters. It all begins with Malchus of Atzilus, which is the Eibush's mouth that creates the original Sodom Amoris, and Malchus of Atzilus is the Iva Gamei Echad, this moment ain't so. Says the Rebbe V'achakol, Tzimtzumim Eloketzeben. After all of these Tzimtzumim and the like, which will be discussed later on again for the third time in the end of Parashat Yuchad, Perikid Alf and Perikid Beis, I believe. Kasha goes, based on the decree that the Eibush's wisdom made in the outset. This is what allows for the light and life of the Eibishter. Le'eslabish, to be revealed gam b'tachtenim, and also in physical creations. In stones and earth, which are inanimate. And it gives you a simple dogma. What's a stone? Look at Azeh. Ki Evan derech mashal, a stone by way of analogy. Shmo Meira, the name of the word Evan indicates Ki sharsha mishem ha'elaban b'mispar. A physical stone, its root is a name which has 52. Beis Nun, 52, which is of course the lowest name of Shem Havaya in its numerical equivalence. Ve'ed Aleph Nesefes, another Aleph in addition to the Ban, Mishem Achar Letam Hayadu L'Yetzer, from a different name as the Eibishter knows. So what's an Evan? It's an Aleph plus Ban. Shem Ban B'Yatzmi, the divine name Ban is Malchus of Atzilus, Ubeil Mosayenim Yeit, it's very high worlds. It's one of the Sfiras, Iba Me'echad. It goes through numerous contractions and intense contractions from step to step. Yarad. A small life which is diminished and diminished again and again until it comes down to a physical stone. It's not the same letters. When it says in the world the Eibush created a Kia, that's not the physical sky. That's a Kia El Mabriya. The Kia Agashmi is through the letters are exchanged, replaced, and left with gematrias that have a shaykhs to the physical universe. Vezuhi nefesh hadeimim. This is the soul of a daimim, which Alter Rebbe said in Sharich Nun Perek Aleph from the Arizal that even a daimim has life. Hamachaye umahava esei me'ayin liyesh b'chol rega. Vezuhi nefesh hadeimim. Hamachaye umahava esei me'ayin liyesh b'chol rega. This is the soul of an inanimate thing that gives it life every second, from nothing into something. That is taken from the Sora Mamoris to Ribit Tzimtzum. Mission is by which Alter Rebbe mentioned in Perek Aleph. This in general enlightens the world of a Malak Kalamin, where the Chayes of the Eibishter is tzimtzumed, so each creation should get specific light. Mashenken Bechin is Seva Kalamin is different. Like the Alter Rebbe said in the beginning of yesterday's shir, that Seva Kalamin is one size fits all. The Eibishter in his imagination has coiled the whole Seder Ishtash. Continues the Rebbe talking about Malak Kalamin. Each strength and each step Beruim can create creations according to this particular madrege, and by itself it's gamkin leinkates v'tachlis, also beyond an end and purpose. Bekamusam ve'echusam, in its quantity and its worth. Lachis adiyad, that it should also last forever. Since it's a power from the Eibishter, which is expanding and radiating from the mouth of Hashem, and there's no restraint. In other words, again, he's talking about the Sfiras. The Sfiras are Iyuv Agamahichad, and because of the Iyuv Agamahichad quality, they can create all kinds of infinity. And the Eibishter makes tzimtzumim, so there should be a world. However, but their quality would not be as great as would be the quality and the step of the creations, which would be created from the strength and the step of the original Asias themselves. In other words, the Sodom Amoris gets keich from the Sfiras. Then you have Chalufim Utmuris. Every step of the Chalufim Utmuris also gets keich from the Sfiras. And because they get keich from the Sfiras, it could create also Bligvul, because it has in it Iyuv Agamei Echad, if not for the fact that the Eibishter makes Tzimtzumim. The connection between this and the Tzimtzum, I think, is this is the Alter Rebbe's way of articulating the complexity of Iyu Tofes B'Kulu Am and Lasman Tofes B'Ei. Tzimtzum Shleik Pshutim means the Eibishter is everywhere. And he knows us, and he affects us. But his knowing us and his affecting us doesn't affect him. So he says it's very complicated. The complications involve two basic models. The first model is Seviv Kalamin, where one size fits all. The second model is Mamala Kalamin, where each creation has to go through Ribbi Tzimtzum to create itself. All of this is encompassed in the Eibishter's Yediyah, because Hu HaYedeina Yedu and Hu HaMada. And the Eibishter's Yediyah is the real reason you have a Seviv Kalamin. It's the real reason you have all of these Tzimtzumim and Chlufim and Tmuras till Gematrias to create all the various different types of Mamala Kalamin, and none of it has an impact on him. I think the only way of explaining it, the Chaydet Arichas here is L'chaydet Shalei B'Mkeim. Who's talking about Mamali and Seviv? Talking about Tzimtzum. He's saying, and all of this is Shalei K'Pshut. What I was telling you yesterday, in Kodesh Kahavaya. In Kodesh Kahavaya doesn't mean Hashem is holy because he's removed. In Kodesh Kahavaya means Eibush is invested. And he's mitzumtzum. And it's still in Kodesh Kahavaya. In other words, the Tzimtzum of Ein Sof and the level of Malak Alaman is only as far as we experience the Ein Sof, but not as far as Ein Sof itself is concerned. The Ein Sof of Malak Alaman, even in Biyah, continues to be Ein Sof, because Tzimtzum is like Pshut. What I just told you, I'm not sure about. I think that's the Pshat. Even in Biyah.